We're rolling. Well, thank you everybody for being here today and for choosing our session. My name is Marcus Ferrara. I am the Academic Planner and Solution Development Consultant for Scholastic for the East Coast of our country. And Kelly Brown, right here, is your Senior Account Executive. If you don't know her, please get to know her. She is local and services all of the districts in South Carolina. So together today, we are going to have hopefully a discussion, since we're nice intimate group, about how we can support youth and development in. So this is always a hot topic, and there's so much to think about, so many components, and how do we make the most out of it? So when we think as Scholastic, as the major book company that's out there, right? We're the #1 publisher of children's books. We like to anchor everything through literacy. So I work with districts in really creating a literacy first initiative. And what we do is we try and thread literacy throughout because it's a common connector. Through the beginning of time, all of us have gravitated towards the power of story, right? And so no matter where your families are or what their background is, we can always connect with the power of story. So we want to think about how literacy can connect our families. We want to think about a comprehensive approach. What are we doing in school? What are we doing out of school? What are some of the partnerships that we can make in our community? So I'm working with one district right now, and they are slow today, which happens to be Wednesday, and they have a reading initiative where the school is giving books to the pizza shop, free books, and the kids go on a Wednesday. Each school takes a turn for a different Wednesday, and the kids get to show up and get a free book and a free slice of pizza. So guess what? The parents are buying pizza and stuff. It's become this literacy event, and then they have like a thing sheet that the kids take home and return it in for the next week. So there's this constant buzz going on about literacy throughout the district. That's just one of the newest and most fun that's going on. I actually get to participate in one this coming month. So it's all been a concept to me. I helped create it, but I haven't been there, so I get to take place the middle of April. And then we want to think about what is family engagement? How does it look different? Right? Family engagement means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. At Scholastic, we like to think of family engagement just not showing up, right? How many of us have done a carnival, right? And the parents come and the event's over and everyone leaves and that's the end. That's a great beginning, but when we can make some learning ties to that carnival, to that event, and we can strengthen student outcomes, that's really where we want to move the needle. So together we're going to explore some ideas and hopefully we can share some ideas with each other that we've done creating family experiences and the power of engagement. So since I want to say even prior to COVID, but COVID has really changed family engagement dramatically. I think before that was really all the way back to like Sandy Hook, when we started really tightening down security, right? Because we had to put a field around a fence, literally around our school. And it's kind of the outside versus the inside of the building. So how do we bridge that? How do we make families feel welcome, even though safety is always our #1 priority, right? And then what can we learn about professional learning for our educators so that educators can communicate a feeling of welcomeness, of work, and value for your parents. So I love this because at one of our national sales meetings, we had an artist that was actually listening to everything we did and created those 3 pictures. And really, this is what Scholastic is all about, hitting on the community and the school. These are the 3 topics that all of you deal with on a daily basis. So I have two professional books today. Both are with Dr. Karen Knott. You know Dr. Karen Knott? All right. She deals with parent engagement, family engagement. So I have two of her books here. And as we discuss, as you communicate with me, I'll just give you a book. So we have some books here, right? Because I want to make this fun, right? I know it's after lunch, our blood sugar's low, we're all ready for a nap, and I've also been in your seat. So just know I've been an educator for over 17 years, and then for 17 years-ish, I've been in the publishing side. So we'll keep it at ish. Community building and sharing one word that describes how your school community connects with families. So anywhere where I have this bubble pop up, let's start to share out, right? So what's one word you think about or pops into your head when you're thinking about community? Welcoming? Good.
Experiences, giving them positive experiences.
Positive experiences. I love it.
Celebrating.
My Dana.
Celebrating our families.
Celebrating our families, right? Recognizing each other's differences and respecting them, especially our newcomers that might not speak English as a first language, right? Those are the people that feel most left out. So when we can recognize them and let them know that they have worth and say any way we can, we're going to get them on our side. It shouldn't be families versus school. What we want to do is blend the two together, right? And that takes effort, not only from your part, but it's based on the educators and how they interact with parents, right? So we're going to look when we have this interaction and true cohesiveness, we can fix attendance because the parents understand the importance of going to school. They understand that when you're 30 minutes late, you're missing 30 minutes of a 45-minute lesson in the year, right? Time and scheduling conflicts. This is always a challenge. When are we going to do this event? How's it going to fit in? What about transportation? That's a major barrier. When we look at data, I'm doing this whole analysis with Virginia right now, but in relation to the report cards, and it's just not so easy to say, okay, well, you moved the needle and you actually went down 3 points. Let's dive a little. What's causing those 3 points? And then what we do is we dive even further. Okay, how can we support where it went down so we can bring it up, right? So transportation is always a barrier, especially for our disadvantaged families. One of the goals of Scholastic is to make sure that we build a literacy first district or a culture of literacy within the building, within the community. So I have another district that is putting books in barbershops, not to give away. Now, I always say the biggest problem is when a student, the best problem is when a student actually picks a book, right? Because that means they're connected to the school and they want, or they don't have any at home and they just need. So I always tell teachers, they're always, oh, you know, I found new books and they're gone. I'm like, that's great. Right? So they have an ongoing supply going to the local barbershop, the local grocery store, things where the parents are at, the laundromat. We have to go to where they are to start that comfort level. So we want to make sure we have books in all these 4 places, right? And the more opportunities that we provide to engage in text, the more parents are going to engage in text. We're all going to have fun. And if we don't have books accessible, we're going to resort back to the phone, to the whatever. But if you go to a restaurant or a barbershop and there happens to be a small little shelf, say, let's pick a book, right? It's not that hard, and it's not that expensive. So if you're not familiar with Dr. Karen, her big thing is the dual capacity framework. So this is in the books, and you'll receive a version of a copy hopefully by the end of today. If not, you're going to visit Kelly and you're going to say, hey, I was in your session and I didn't get one of the books. But her whole theory is the challenges that we kind of discussed. I know it's a little blurry back there, right? And then what are the conditions? So the challenges are haven't been exposed to strong family engagement. Let's see, have not been exposed to has been exposed to negative past experiences. So think about some of these non-English speakers. They come to a school and they haven't been welcome. So now when they come to your school or district, they immediately are guarded, right? So we need to tear down that barrier, right? And I'm not going to read them all, but now in essential conditions, we have to embrace with leadership across the district. So that's not only all of you, but your educators, your principals, if you have a community liaison or whatever they might be called in your building, those people are critical, right? Then we have to look at our policies. How can we build the capacity of our parents, which are the first learners, right? How can we build capacity? How can we connect our networks? So the pizza shop is a great way to do that, right? So administrators will show up because each school only gets to go like 2 times a year, 2 meetings in other buildings. So it's not that big of a lift for the administrators, but it's creating a buzz of literacy throughout the district. And all the parents are excited and engaged, right? And there's competitions going along with those little plate sheets they have to take home of who's coming in the most between the different buildings, right? We want to think about our shifts in beliefs and values. How do we convey that to the general public, right? It's all about how we market ourselves and what are our most important pieces. So thinking about that, let's speech bubble. Which part do you feel you need the most support or help or challenge? I like to call them opportunities.
And at our school, one of the big things is our connections or the network built there because we're a public charter and our kids literally come from like 6 different surrounding counties. So our kids are very, very spread out. And so it makes it tough to always have those connections. Like the local pizza shop, we're a lot more than can gather. Granted, we have hot spots, of course, because a lot of we get our students a lot of times by word of mouth. But I think that's one thing that we've got to, as a school, work on a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. And so Scholastic has this family engagement assessment where we actually come in and walk around and walk in the feet of the parents, pretend to call, right? We call them hot phone calls where we actually call and say, how many new resident and want to enroll like this? How friendly is the staff? All of those pieces, right? But that's a major point. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else have a challenge or an opportunity that they want to share when it comes to family engagement?
Making sure that we engage the families with exactly what they need, not what we think they might need. So like, and we're all multilingual teachers, so it's making sure that our multilingual families get what they need as far as like learning the school system, but also helping their students succeed and navigating different cultural norms.
Absolutely. So we need to make sure that most things are in multiple languages. That's the first easy lift. But then the thing is understanding also their culture, understanding what their home life looks like. Oftentimes you need an educator and like, oh, well, Johnny never does his homework. He's really bad. Okay. Let's dive into why is Johnny not doing his homework? Because Johnny is taking care of his younger sister while the parents work 2 or 3 jobs. There's a reason. It's not that they don't want to. So how can we provide more opportunity during the school time, but also get rid of that negative bias that we have immediately because of the results? Don't just look at the results. Let's dig deeper what's causing the result of him not doing something.
Marcus, can I say something?
Sure.
One of the things I learned in doing that family engagement assessment that we are able to do, and I I would have never thought about this on my own had I not gone in with one of our people. Even families see when they pull into the parking lot, that the principal and the assistant principal and the secretary, all their spots are the first spots in the parking lot. That's not really welcoming to a family. Those should be reserved for the family. And that's what makes it more engaging. I never learned that until I went through this process, that even though it doesn't make a lot of sense to us, this just not engaging for them is priority. They should be the priority. Those parking places should be for your families to come in. Same thing about when you walk in the office, and I know some of this can't be fixed, when the desk is up to here. It puts that barrier between the office staff and the person. So we did this in one district where they went in and just changed all their desks in their offices so that everybody was on an equal playing field. It's just little teeny tiny tweaks that you don't think about that engage those families to come in after you do some kind of family engagement assessment like that. Those were the two that always stuck with me when I talk to people about family engagement and getting those people into the building and welcoming them into the building.
And just so you know, you have one of these there to lean on. But family and community engagement is not just an instructional strategy, right? Again, family engagement is a strategy that addresses learning goals or outcomes. So we always have to think is this event or opportunity for connectivity going to change student outcomes, right? We want to improve the way our parents understand so they can help service their students, right? The best way they can. And then family engagement is built on that relationship, that trust. And that takes time if it's not already happening. But slowly but surely, as you're talking about the principal's parking spot, right? How welcoming is the administration during arrival and dismissal? Are they visible? Are they saying hello? Right? Are they welcoming the kids when they come into the building? And parents are just dropping off their babies, right? I know even in my daughter's high school, the principal was out every morning greeting students. What's the bell that means? But every day, and it made such a difference. Everyone knew his name, right? And every kid would walk by it and say hello. So when we look at family engagement, we want to make sure that it's an equal partnership, right? That's something that's new and different. It's not us telling them, but they can also tell us what they need so we can better service them, right? And again, the goal, this is from Dr. Karen Mack, is to make sure we're changing those student outcomes. So what about everything we just talked about resonates with you of where you can make a little tweak? Parking spots.
Yeah. I was going to say.
It's an easy one. And you know, if you think about it, if you work retail, and some of you might have teenagers that work retail, they're not allowed to park right. They have to park in their own. And there's a reason, because the customer comes first, right? Who is our customer? Our students and parents. And we have to keep that in mind. We're there to serve those people. We're in the public sector, right? So absolutely, parking spots a major one. The next easiest thing is tell your administrators to get up during arrival or dismissal. Be seen. I know they have a lot to do. I'm not putting that aside. But they'll get a lot more cooperation and they'll have a lot less discipline problems if they're always visible in the AM and the PM. Because a lot of the little things can be taken care of through a quick conversation in the morning instead of it blowing up and having this whole big thing, right? So when we think about how many hours the children are already in, 6,000 hours approximately. How many of those hours do you think are spent in school and home?
$3,500.
I hear somebody.
3,500?
3,500 where?
Oh,
In school or at home? So 6,000 hours total. How many are where?
I think at home.
3,500 at home. Anyone else?
$4,000?
4,000. You're close.
Yeah.
Wow. 5,000 hours at home. 1,000 in school.
Wow.
We can't do it without our families. So making those relationships is critical. That's got to be the #1 priority. It's going to help raise test scores. It's going to help raise morale. It's going to help student outcomes. So in another one of Dr. Karen Mack's books, Family and Community Engagement, help students get higher test scores. Does this have a laser? Oh, what I do? Doesn't have a laser. Oh, there we go. Higher graduation rates, better attendance. How many of you are facing attendance issues? You know what else will help that? Getting your administrators outside to business and run. Because they're going to start to know the names of the kids. Because they're going to say, hey Joe, you're late again. Tomorrow, how about we get up 5 minutes early? Positive affirmation. Okay, let's do it. We don't want to be negative all the time, right? Or Joe, I notice every day you're late 5 minutes. What can you tell me what's happened? Maybe we can work on a solution, or I can give you to the guidance counselor. We can work on a solution. Maybe you can ride with a neighbor buddy or someone down the block. Whatever the case may be. For families, stronger relationships. How many of you have your own children? How many of them, when they came into school, you said, oh, how was school today? Nothing, fine, right? When you have that open communication and parents are involved, they know the questions to ask. Oh yeah, I hear you're having a science fair coming up. What are you doing to prep for? Now I'm engaging in conversation at home about the work in school. For educators, we want to make sure that we're giving caregivers and families an asset-based lens. Just because you don't speak the language or you don't come from the upper economic tier doesn't mean you're less than the person next to you. And we're going to make every effort to make sure that you know that and that we hear you. Increase morale and professional satisfaction. When all of these things are in synchrony, your educators are going to be happy. You're going to have less turnover. Right? So it all just kind of works out. They'll be more apt to attend that family literacy night as a teacher because they see the results and how it's influencing and impacting the families. So, things that worked well for me and my child are that we started creating a bond and a hobby together. We both started communicating more with each other and got more comfortable with these things. This is just one of the examples after Scholastic has partnered with somebody of what the parents have said. So, planning a family engagement experience. One of the things that I find most impactful is to be consistent and repetitive. So if you do something, you want to make sure that initiative, as long as it's pretty successful, continues year after year, right? Because the community starts to get used to it. If you're sending books home as part of a literacy first district, do it on a consistent basis, whether it's every report card or every summer, because then the things that you're doing become a buzz of the town. Consistency is clear. You want to make sure what you're doing aligns with your strategic plan, right? So we kind of backwards map at the same time. That's where I always start. The strategic plan, the data, how we can merge, and where we can support. Simple and clear communication. people will prefer a text, just like you. I know Scholastic, we have Teams, email, phone, personal phone, work phone. You're getting things like from 6 different places. But most people only prefer one way. So are you reaching out to all the parents in all the ways so their preferred method is received? So when you're doing a family engagement experience, how many of you have literacy nights? What does a literacy night look like? I'm trying to see who doesn't have a partner. Do you have a partner? What does a literacy night look like in your school?
Well, they have like, they'll do different events where they come in, like they've done like March Madness, then they'll give out books at the end, or during one school during the winter time, they had a hot cocoa night, brought the parents in and the children and gave them books.
Good. So I think you got the first part of it. Awesome. Giving them literature, right, is amazing. One of the things that we have is called literacy events, and it's basically a literacy event in a box for each teacher. The difference is, from what you said, we want that fun stuff, because that's
They
what
need to do more with the books.
we need to do more with the books. We need to build capacity with our
Yeah.
parents. So this is like all done for you in a box. You're going to have the teacher guide. This is what we're going to do for 45 minutes. We're going to rotate in 3 groups. I'm going to show you how to do a certain skill with your kids, so parents and kids are there. We're going to look at this book together. I'm going to do the read aloud. We're going to do the activity together, friends. When you're done, you're going to go home with the book. And here's some reminders for your parents of what we just did today. You can make this on your own. You don't have to buy this presentation. It's just a lot of work, but the idea is that we're building capacity to change outcomes. Sending books home has tremendous research that even 5 books at home will change the trajectory of the student. But giving them quick feedback, interaction, making sure that we're teaching a skill is critical. So after the experience, are we collecting data? Did we meet their needs? What more do they want? What did we do right? What could we do better? Increase visibility and excitement. Post some videos. Remember, we are, for lack of better terms, the retail store. Our customers are the parents and students. If we don't market ourselves and show the fantastic things we're doing, we're not winning them over. We're not creating that comfort zone. Oh yeah, my kid goes to a great school. Just did this and that, where I learned how to do whatever, and now I'm helping my kid read. We want to talk about the results, right? We've been doing these reading events year over year, and we're seeing our scores go up. Thanks to you, the parents. You played a big part in that. Thank you for coming out. Right? So these kits that we have will help with all the engagement. It has a checklist for your educators. And once the educators see the outcomes, they're more likely to do them. So just real quick, we have 3 different ones, so you can do it end of it. I prefer to do it first quarter, mid-year, and the year. The writing is huge. Our students are lacking more and more in the area of writing. And it's because we really don't teach it. And it's difficult to teach. So helping the parents. Now, I get this all the time. Well, in AI, we don't need to. It makes works. Well, AI as a tool is meant to help you synthesize a task. However, when you prompt AI, your ability to provide detail and elaboration will only increase the results that AI will generate. So you have to be a good writer to use AI. What you put in is what you put out, what it puts out. So if you're not putting good, detailed information in, how many of you have started really to dig into AI? Am I right? The more detailed you are, the more granular you become, the better the result is going to be, right? So kids that say we don't need to do it, they have to do it. Make stop. Do a lesson. Let's test out your theory. Let's pick a task, you all put it into AI. Now let's get granular. Let's use our writing skills and tell AI exactly what we want the output to be, what it should look like, what the tone, right? The author's tone should be. So then it becomes something totally different. So these are all the gizmos that will come with our family literacy event. We want to support the families with the summer slide. And we know one way to do that, especially if you cannot afford summer school, which is most districts right now, is providing books to home. What you want to do is make sure those books have a component, a follow-up component, right? Do they have book-specific questions? Can they turn them in? And we make this a competition between schools. So, of course, Scholastic is known for its books. We have plenty of books, plenty of different packs with questions and everything that we can send home to take that heavy lift. But you might only have a grade level or two that you can fund to start off. That's where we look at our data, right? That's Title I driving. So we figure out where do we need to raise test scores, go up or down. That's a great place to start. I keep hitting the wrong button. I apologize. I keep hitting the laser. So those are our summer packs. There's another pair. It's very interesting to see how the books help them, how they get their attention and confidence set. Right? So choosing the right book is a huge task for students. And I tell this story, I'm probably tired of telling it, but when I went to school, it was go to the library, you had 15 minutes to pick a book. And the librarian was sitting behind the desk just going, inevitably, well, it wasn't even this barcode with a white light. Yeah, it was weird. But regardless, at the end of the 15 minutes, I was scrambling just to pick a book. So I would pick any book and I got home and what do you think that book was? It wasn't appropriate, right? I didn't like it. Either it wasn't on grade level or wasn't on topic. And so I didn't like reading for a very long time until an educator took the time to help me learn how to write. Now, if you don't like a movie after 30 minutes, what do? You turn it off. Should we make a student finish a book that they are struggling with and don't like? No, we're just killing the idea of falling in love with reading, the power of story, and choosing another book. Find out why. Ask why. Why do you like that? What's part of that so it can help steer you in a direction where you might find a great book. So we know, and I was saying this before, so I'm a little ahead of myself, the power of sending books home, right? Just 5 books can prevent the decline in reading. 25 books, so if you're doing beginning, middle, end of the year, that's 15 books in just 1 year. When kids have 25 books at home, they are more likely to complete 2 more years of school. Think about all the kids that have 0 books at home. They're never going to find joy. And we need to build that standard, because more and more we're on TikTok, our attention spans get smaller and smaller and smaller. So we have to help them find their interest and then move them into books. So my book summer is exactly what I was telling you about. There are different book packs that will go in different themes, but it provides book-specific questions. Did we bring one? No.
I have some at the table, but they have peer engagement. All of our packs have a peer engagement piece, which lends to that family engagement, that home to school, that school to home connection. But I do have some samples at the table.
Yeah, so feel free. And then for this year, we have America's Dream. And then, so there's different configurations, different packs, depending on your budget. This is what Kelly and I can help you with, for sure. But these are some of the results. 78% of students maintained or increased their reading level. 4.6% decrease in chronic absenteeism. You're creating a culture. This is one piece of the puzzle, right? It's not the whole solution. And then teachers saw an increase in engagement with reading. Duh, we just gave them books. They had no books. Of course engagement books, right? How many of you have vending machines? Book vending machines. Yes. Do the kids love them? Right? It's another way to engage with that. And so do you use it for PBIS or do the kids actually buy the books?
No, they are tokens, so we have reading quiz. So if they pass their reading quiz, so they get a token, and they know, or if they complete an activity in library and the media specialist says, okay, that was a great job, they know they get a token. So they look for it.
And one token equals a book?
One token equals a book.
Right. Great job. Yeah. So this is what happens to kids' faces, right? We couldn't ask for anything more. So Hampton City Schools is a school district that I worked with. They're in Virginia, and we've actually created a research paper, so if you wanted to keep our code, you can. But we did a four-pronged approach. So we took kindergarten registration, and we gave them a bilingual family pack that talked about what are the milestones, what do your kids need to know, what are the markers that we should be striving for. And we gave them literature in English and Spanish, bilingual books. Then what we did is we gave a winter book distribution, a spring break distribution, and then we did summer select where they got to choose the books that they want. The kids got to choose the books they wanted. And then we provided summer school. So if you're not familiar, we have Lit Camp, which is a fun camp, and it's all centered around the science of reading and literacy. So with all of those things, we really changed the trajectory of Hampton City school districts. We went from 40% accredited to 100% accredited, an 8% increase of kids being on grade level. This took 2 years. It wasn't just one and done, right? This was maybe even 3 years. But we worked together as a partner. And now the district leader that I work with is moving, and we're trying to create this same thing, right? We talked about this a little bit earlier. When we have our families and we're looking at the demographics, and I look to see, okay, are your NLL multilingual learners expanding in percentages? Okay, how do we address that? What about our economically disadvantaged? Because these are the things that come up, right? Johnny's like to school every day because he's got transportation obstacles. What can we do? Who's the team in my building that's going to help solve these problems? Not for him, but with him and his family. Right? So being a support team, or maybe having a committee that can look at these issues and effectively try and solve them, right? So these are some strategic impacts that are in the papers that you've gotten now, right? Practical ways to elevate attendance, engagement. We've talked about most of them, but they're in this books and the pamphlets that I've given you. We also need professional development for our educators, right? Not really in what we're talking about, not for the scholastic product, because there's no product for it. And how do we deal with our families? If you do the family engagement assessment, looking at the assessment and the results, and how are we going to change our vernacular, our outlook, how are we going to communicate more effectively with our families, and so on. So now, let's share some nuggets, recommendations. If you have something you're proud of doing, this is a great time to share it with each other. So let's take a minute, talk about either something you learned or something you're proud of. And we have how many more books? 6 more books. No more than that.
So I'm over Title 3 in our ML money, hard time secondary level with families, especially high school.
Yep.
And so we pushed and pushed, and we finally took ML night at our high school. It's a huge success. And what we found out, because we did feedback, was when we fed them, and with multilingual families, you need to plan more because they always come, the whole family comes. I mean, grandmothers, it's right. And we had to-go boxes, and they would make to-go boxes for their food. It sounds tiny, it was huge. The other thing is recognizing the students. They won't come just to hear you talk about stuff, but they'll come if you're going to recognize their kids. So we recognize kids that made their goal on Read Access, kids that not just made their goal, but they increased their score from the year before. We did chords, we did baggies, called their name, they came up. And it was those kind of things. Now, to meet your Title III, you also have to do certain things too. So we did talk about after school tutoring that we had, and we also talked about what Read Access was, because we found out families had no idea what this test was. We had AP kids that were still taking Read Access because they didn't know what it was. So doing that educational part. But then when it was time to eat, we also had little placards on the table so that they weren't just eating, they were interacting with their student too. So it would say, here's a card that a student would ask the family, and then here's the family would ask the student, so that we were really, really breaking bread. We weren't just eating. So we got really good. Yeah, and as they took pictures, our IT person was there and would loop it on the TVs in the cafeteria so they could see pictures of their kids getting those awards.
It's creating that sense of community right from the get-go, and then the little nuggets with the questions are helping to build that capacity and conversation.
So I would love any more ideas on how to expand that.
So in the past, we would have a separate ML family night, and then we have a Title I family night. And kind of got smart, like, why are we doing two separate activities? So we started joining, like, if there's a literacy night for a school, the principal said, hey, we'd like you to also have the family night. And because we want to have our regular families, American families, know about our ML program. And we would have games and bingo sometimes that has information about the program and what we do, and information about teachers or everybody. So that's how we're doing our ML family night now, is with the regular school family night. And then we have done international night as well with our families, and again with the regular families in the school. So it's hitting two birds or two groups at one time.
Yeah.
It's been successful.
Are you feeding them?
Yes, definitely.
So that's one of the components.
Yes. So they get food from the school, they get food from us.
It's a win-win.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, others may do this, but we have some apartment communities with large amounts of children in them, and sometimes the schools will actually go to the communities and host their literacy events there, and that way the children get to see the staff and the administrators in their own neighborhoods. And so they get excited to see them in there because they're there for them, not because they're in trouble.
Exactly. So that brings me back to Hampton, that one school I was talking about, one district I was talking about. So she actually got the teachers on a bus and drove them through the bus so they could see where their kids are.
Oh, wow.
Because some of these teachers had no idea of home life. And it just changed the perspectives of everybody, more accepting, more, I don't want to say tolerant, but empathetic, thank you. Empathetic for what the students are dealing with on a daily basis. And it was just so powerful. Feeding them is huge. In one of your packets, there's something called Read and Rise. That's for our newcomers, for pre-K all the way to grade 3. It's a train-the-trainer model, so there's 5 sessions where we start talking about the power of song, the power of your culture, food, And they actually can bring in little, dishes for their multicultural, different, ethnic groups. And they really celebrate the person and the community, and then it branches off to how to support your child.
I forgot to add, we did give out a lot of instructional materials as well, like using our country funds.
Amazing. Yeah. And then did you get feedback?
Oh, yes, families are always appreciative.
Yeah, it's important you shout that out right on social media.
Okay.
Be proud of it. And so the parents can say, hey, yeah, I went to that.
I'm just going to share something similar to what you were saying before that covers many components. Thank you. We have one of the favorite events, I guess I would say, is what we call Reading Prize Patrol. And instead of a bus, the staff get together. It's all voluntary. Our family liaison maps out, so families will volunteer, they'll sign up, we give them signs to put in their yard, and then we collect books. This is something we work through all year long, so students we come to catch them reading. And so a lot of times families will be out on the lawn or, just ready for us. And so, make those stops along the way. We have all of the school staff, everyone's always excited to be a part of that. But it helps build home libraries, but it also builds in that home visit piece because we're connecting and we don't have academic conversations, even though we're coming for that purpose, but it's building relationships, also connecting that love of reading and
so you're delivering books to basically their neighborhoods.
right. And so it removes the barriers of some of the things you had listed, like we go into them. Families don't have to worry about transportation. And we also have books for older and younger siblings. So we have that in mind too. Sometimes there are those babies and toddlers that will be coming into our school soon. We have other programs that we're able to talk with them about. So it just provides an opportunity to just build that relationship, make that connection, and like you mentioned too about building empathy, you sometimes see why little Johnny doesn't get homework completed, or why certain situations may be as they are.
As they are, absolutely. So two things that we hit on. The first one was you're going to them, right? And so I love that it's just like the barber shop. You're actually going to their lawn. You're creating a sense of community. I forgot that I'm on it. That's okay. We'll come back to it.
I just real quick. I went to a family engagement event last Saturday. I was able to share Clifford Big Red Dog with this district. If you ever need Clifford, let me know because I have him in my garage. But it was the neatest. It was in Berkeley County. I don't know if anybody's in there from Berkeley. But what they had done was they worked with their food services or nutrition division at the district. The district itself, the Title I director there, and then with their leadership at the district, what they did was they actually had in their cafeteria anyone that they had a food contract with that served food throughout their district came in and set up a booth and set up their own little area. They were giving free samples out. In addition to this, they had a little petty zoo in the back. They had some jumpy stuff. The Title I team was giving out books. They had books there. They had people face painting. They had DSS there. They had all these community partners that came in. And so when you would sample the food, and I went through and sampled a lot of their food, the kids would get to vote which food was their favorite. And then after they all voted throughout the day, 4-hour event, they tallied up the top 10 items and they're adding them to their menu. 3,000 people walked through those doors. 3,000 people. And the vendors that came to do the food actually paid a vendor fee to be there. And there was a lady from Maryland there trying to get her breakfast stuff in. It was the neatest experience I've ever seen. The helicopter flew in from Charleston County and landed in the parking lot. This is the second year they have done this. I think it's called Play, Taste, Connect. was a very neat experience. And to pick out Missy, one of the things, speaking of when you talk about books that you're giving away to kids, if you don't know, Scholastic has a program called FACE, which stands for Family and Community Engagement. And anytime you're purchasing books or going home with kids or leaving the school building, going into home, you can get those books up to 85% off. Because we offer that because we know those books are helping build the capacity at home and engaging those families. So we offer this as a school to home benefit when you're doing books like that. And they're the same books you would get if you ordered them normally, you're just at a discount. So,
And that's because we have
and it's free.
the authors that understand that this is an initiative. So they truly cannot be used for instruction or classroom libraries because they're really strict about that. They don't want to lose this opportunity to have this program. Yeah, and it's a free membership online, and you can go to Kelly, but you can also order it online. You get a membership number and all that. So thanks for sharing that. So these are the 2 books that we were giving away. And then this is just a little quick video of, we don't have audio, sorry. PowerPoint. He asked me if I had video, and I said no. And so when we talked about the power of books 1, 5, and 25, I think it was, I'm going to dispute this number here. The power of reading really, there's research, Anderson and, do you remember? Anderson and somebody. Reading for 33 minutes exactly will have an impact on your students where they're going to score in the 90th percentile on standardized tests. 33 minutes. That's the key number, just like the number to 30. Who can take a guess how many minutes our kids are reading now? And so the study was elementary and middle. 15. 10. 8 minutes.
8.
They're only reading for 8 minutes a day. It doesn't all have to be at one time. So dismissal, when you're changing your district and thinking about literacy first, what do? Books have to be available. We have to let them do it. Arrival, dismissal, before lunch, after lunch, during lunch. Some kids hate recess. Have a little book on the card. Books on the card. So I don't know who said 10 minutes. We're in the course. If you get that one too, please give it to someone else. So these are just some of the impacts, and you can find these on the Scholastic website.
This is actually a lot of that data comes from Greenville County. We have an initiative with Public Education Partners, which is a funding source specifically in Greenville that does a lot of stuff for education in Greenville. But a lot of this data is from there, which is really important to me because what happens is when people want to do things, they want to know, well, what have you done where I am? What does that look like in a district for me? What does that look like in the state of South Carolina? So a lot of these data points came from the research that we did for that.
I love this part over here. What do parents want? Questions and conversation starters. They don't know how to have the conversations. That's all really about building capacity, right? A list of vocabulary words. So we need content and rigor, especially our NL students. 96% believe that summer reading is helpful, and 3/4 of parents would find it helpful to have support. Oops. So empowering families with access. I already spoke about this bilingual welcoming pack, right? And then the My Book Summer also goes all year long with My Books every day. So if you wanted to do them every quarter, you can. But most importantly, remember I talked about going from a moment to a habit. Whatever you pick for this year, for this coming year, pick one thing, but then make it consistent so that the community can get used to it happening. And then leverage your community partners. So I'm working with another big district, and we're gonna kind of do what Kelly was saying. 6 months. And we're going to have the state healthcare come in. So we're pairing it up with Joe DiMaggio's Children's Hospital. So they're actually hosting it and paying for everything. And then we're going to invite the school district, and we're going to go around in the circles, and so they can learn and prevent. The idea is to prevent them from ever having to go to children's hospitals with knowledge about health and safety and things like that. So think about your community partners, your professionals. Who can you bring in? They don't always have to be the doctor or the lawyer, right? The cashier at the corner store can come in and do a read aloud and share their power of skill, right? And expand on their literacy engagement. So we talked about all this culturally relevant. We want to make sure equity and inclusive strategies. And this is one of the classrooms that I helped set up. We did a classroom library makeover. So we were connecting with literacy, and this is another one. This is Providence, Rhode Island. You can tell them engaging, we were reflecting. So they did a summer literacy initiative where they gave out books, but all the kids got a little backpack, and we had the commissioner speaking, and the news media was there, but they committed to doing it year over year. And so I'm going to end, if you want to, these are QR codes for research. If you need any research to help, with your funding or any ideas, Kelly and I would be happy to partner with you, share with you ideas, and just bring those things. So thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Thank you so much.
That's why
I love it.
So,